Fellow delegates, pardon me for resorting to this mode of communication with you. I would have very much liked to be here in person with all of you here, but as some of you may be aware, I have just about a month back taken up an assignment, which is the reason why I'm not here with you. I'm delighted that my alma mater is hosting this conference. Equally pleasing is to share with you the person behind this vibrant organization, a seasoned academic, Dr. Jagdar Singh, is a really close friend of mine. I knew him when we were both pursuing our courses from this university. We were in the company of our senior friend, Dr. Malan, and it is equally gratifying to know that he is also thickly involved in organizing this event. Coming back to the theme of the conference, I think the organizers must be complimented for taking this timely initiative. Timely because the context which we are operating in is knowledge intensive, as we are all aware. In this knowledge intensive context, I think the role of library and information professionals has changed from one which at some point in time used to be passive. I think it has to be a proactive one. They have not to be just content with providing to their user the material they need, they want, they demand, or they desire. They have to wake up and shake up. Be a lot more proactive in identifying who their patrons are, what their exact information needs and requirements are, and what do they do and how do they do to make sure that their requirements are met. It is in this context that I say this call has to be addressed by library and information science schools in terms of what they teach, how they teach, why they teach, and bridge this gap in terms of what they ought to teach, how they ought to teach it, and why they ought to teach it. If there is a clear understanding of ways and means to bridge this gap, I am sure the profession will gain its lost glory. Why so? Because the users of today are alert, are conscious, are aware. They want things not today, not tomorrow, but yesterday. So what do we do as library and information science schools to produce the kind of talent with the skill sets and competencies that they can discharge such highly demanding services? For instance, I think I may give some examples where I think library and information science schools that we have to address some of these concerns. Like, if apart from what we teach them, we lay a little more emphasis on time-tested management concepts and techniques, marketing in particular, for instance, which tells us how do we create awareness among our clients in terms of what we have and what we can do. Not in terms of buying and selling, but creating awareness. Similarly, the second critical task for the library and information professional today is to understand and interact with a highly demanding user. I think if a course or a set of courses in the area of communication, which I know a little more about, can be thought of and given the treatment in our library and information science programs, I think that will do a lot good, because when we teach these kinds of courses to our management students, our agenda is only to equip them with the skill sets and competencies that they are able to understand their customer. Here our customer, we say a user of information. So that's where, if we are able to equip our professionals with these kinds of competencies, that they understand their highly demanding user and they are able to interact with that highly demanding user in his language, we will think we will have done a good job. Similarly, these are some management and marketing or communication issues, many other. if they are built into our curriculum, I'm sure we'll be able to produce the right kind of talent which the profession needs. Similarly, we are giving lip service to very many other areas, but I think a deeper and insightful approach has to be met to those courses. Like we talk about, every library and information science school is teaching ICT, but I think an advanced exposure on each and every state of the art information and communication technology will only be in the fitness of things. If that is done, they will make the most of this offering in terms of helping their demanding users to provide them what they need in Ranganathan's terms, pinpointedly, expeditiously, and exhaustively. Similarly, if we are able to create the space, when I say if we are able to create a space, I mean the library and information science professionals in the chest of our users by sharing with them what are the kinds of best practices we follow in their domain, which is basically knowledge generation, we call it research, knowledge dissemination, we label it knowledge organization, or knowledge application, we call it knowledge use. If we are able to, for instance, the other day there was a conference on citation practices of data, right? So if we partner with them on these kinds of things, they'll find that we are their partners. Similarly, the other day there was a conference on, let us say, big data analytics and big data citation. Similarly, the other event was on ETD initiatives. The other day there was an event on plagiarism issues. So I think we have to give these upcoming areas the due treatment in our course curriculum, in our pedagogy, in our evaluation and assessment mechanisms, so that we are able to produce the kind of talent which is needed by the profession. Now, professionals, as I said, have not to be content with providing something to somebody when he or she needs it. They have to look beyond that. They have to take upon themselves a little more proactive approach. All of this will happen if our course curriculum and very many things that go with course curriculums are taking care of addressing these issues and concerns. We had a glorious past. Somewhere down the line we have lost that. Maybe equipping our professionals through these library information science schools will help them to regain that lost glory. I'm quite convinced the way the theme of the conference has been set up, the sub-themes have been planned, and the session schedules have been firmed up. I'm confident the deliberations will go a long way in addressing, identifying, recognizing many such areas where library science schools will pitch in and professionals will accept those kinds of things, and in turn both of them together will be better off to help this profession groom like anything. So if we are able to nurture this gap, bridge this gap in what the library and information science schools are offering and what library and information science profession requires and demands, we will go a long way. Thank you once again, the organizers, for giving me this opportunity to share some of my ideas. I regret I had to resort to this mode, but this is what I wanted to basically share in a few minutes as I was told. Thank you once again and wish the deliberations of this conference a huge success. Thank you once again and Jai Hind.